You know, for all the questions I've seen people asking about the CW's version of the Flash, like why does Team Flash never do anything other than just stand there and watch the bad guy get away when they could have snatched him up pretty easily, or why didn't Nora immediately tell Team Flash about Cicada kidnapping them instead of letting everybody die 52 times before getting help, I don't think I've ever seen or heard a more confusing one than when people started asking, how exactly does each new version of Harrison Wells manage to walk around town without instantly getting attacked by people who lost loved ones in the particle accelerator explosion, or even without getting yelled at by people for being a confessed murderer?
Asshole!
What? Did you see that?
Now, on the surface, you'd think it's not exactly an unfair question, considering how Earth 2 Harrison actually got shot at twice, with one of those times almost killing him by the way, and was even kidnapped by a random teenage meta, just because he looked like the same guy who fucked over Central City the year before. Team Flash even made it a big deal back in the early days of Season 3 whenever HR wanted to take a step outside because he'd have to deal with the same issues.
Yeah, this would be great fodder for my novel.
Hold on. You guys didn't tell him about...
But after he was killed off though, nobody on the show's really ever brought it up since. Seriously, Team Flash is on their 4th version of Wells by this point, and apparently they just let the guy wander around outside and do whatever the fuck he wants without even so much as a quick, hey, you look like the guy who killed Barry's mom and almost destroyed the city a few years ago. You sure you don't want a mask or something? But if you ever actually stop and think about it for a little bit, maybe go back and rewatch some of the earlier episodes, you might remember that this is actually something the writers covered a while ago. Seriously, does nobody else remember that gadget HR brought with him to Earth 1 towards the beginning of Season 3? During the 6th episode, titled Shade, we get this scene that's totally not important at all, wink wink, where HR, disguised as his partner Randolph Morgan, strolls into the speed lab and demonstrates this facial transmogrification device that uses light refraction technology to alter your physical appearance. Basically, this little pen-looking doodad bends light and lets you look like anybody you want. I'm not entirely sure how light refraction makes you sound any different, but whatever, this gizmo's awesome. It's so good at hiding who you are, in fact, that people up close and personal with the person using it, and even high-tech scanners can't tell the difference. And while it does have some problems, like it won't fool a DNA scanner, as implied when DeVoe tried infiltrating the Argus branch holding Fallout towards the end of Season 4, I highly doubt most people on the street are just walking around testing people with DNA kits, so considering how the facial transmogrifier is apparently pretty easy to use, I'm pretty sure each new version of poor old Harry Wells would have been fine hiding themselves with it. So there we go. Team Flash took some dead guy's tech back in Season 3, and they've been using it on every new version of Harrison Wells ever since. Problem solved, right? Well, yeah, sure, I guess so, assuming they actually did think to take it by the end of the season, which they probably didn't, since there were plenty of times they probably could have used that thing and just didn't, like during Barry's trial, for example. But assuming they actually did pick it up, and assuming it either ends up broken at some point, or Team Flash just couldn't be bothered using it again after Season 3 for some reason, like they seem to do with most of the new tech they end up getting, is there any other way Team Flash could hide every new version of Wells they work with? Well, actually it may seem dumb, but depending on what all the new Wells looks like, they could always just go with the Clark Kent method and basically do nothing, you know? Just give him little accessories or something to help throw people off, like Bruce in his first year as Batman. Although considering how we're on Season 5 at this point, featuring a version of Wells who inserts French into his conversations once in a while, dresses a bit more casually, carries himself way differently, I don't even know if Team Flash would even need to bother doing any of that. Now I know Superman's Clark Kent disguise is a big joke, haha, everybody's dumb because they can't see past a pair of glasses, but the idea actually holds up when you really stop and think about it. For example, a 2016 study done by psychologists Robin Kramer and Kay Ritchie proved that even a small change to somebody's appearance could drop a stranger's recognition of the subject by about 6%. And that's assuming the stranger is actively paying attention to their surroundings and trying to recognize people in the first place. But hey, if that's not a clear enough example for you, here's a picture of actress Zooey Deschanel. Nothing crazy, right? That's just how she looks most of the time. Now here's another picture of her, but with the very small change of just brushing some hair out of her face. See how crazy different these pictures look? And this is still the same person. Imagine what it'd be like if you saw Zooey Deschanel like this, while also wearing different clothes, talking with an accent, and basically acting any way she doesn't normally act when she's out in public doing interviews or whatever. I'm sure most of you guys would swear up and down that this lady isn't the same as this one. Really though, I'd argue that even both of these options are overthinking things, and that any new version of Wells should just be able to walk around in public no problem, simply because most people just don't care enough to notice who they're walking next to. I shouldn't have to remind you about that time Henry Cavill stood right next to a billboard of his own fucking face with a Superman t-shirt on to prove that that's true, but I'll do it anyway. Going back to The Flash though, remember, Eobard's version of Harrison Wells was reported dead back in 2015, 4 years ago now. And I realize that's not exactly all that long ago. You'd think people would remember the guy that detonated highly dangerous machinery in the heart of a city with a population of 14 million, but think about what else happened in the meantime. Zoom beat the absolute piss out of the Flash and invaded with an entire army of metas back in season 2. Grodd attacked with his own army of gorillas in season 3. DeVoe nearly dumbed down and flattened the city in season 4, and now people are worrying about a serial killer who took inspiration for his name from one of the more annoying insects floating around out there. Even if by some chance, some average person on the street just happened to pay enough attention to kinda sorta recognize whichever version of Harrison Wells is running around at that point in time, do you really think that person would actually stop long enough to wonder why that guy's still walking around? Honestly, it might even be one of the saner things they've seen there in the past few years. But anyways guys, that's my take on why nobody in Central City ever seems to care or even notice when a new version of Harrison Wells just starts wandering around in the newer seasons of The Flash. If you guys agreed with anything I said in this video, or if you have your own thoughts you want to throw out there, then go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I will see you all next time. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, then go ahead and click that like button, and if you're new, maybe consider clicking that subscribe button too. I've also got links to my Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and Patreon in the description. You should probably check those out too. And if you want to see more of my content, then you can click the link to my last video. It's right there in the middle of your screen. Alright, and I will see you all next time.